Good morning, beloveds.
Good morning. Morning.
My goodness, it must be Christmas time. Wow, you guys look great. And
Who do you?
oh, thank you. Thank you. We are talking about our series of Ask Yourself This. And the reason why we're doing that here in December is because obviously we're going into the new year. And we have wonderful things happening all for December, but our final thing will be our bowl burning ceremony on the 31st with Reverend Glenn. And so as we release this year, the things that we want to let go of, and as we are wanting to set our intentions for the year, now is a good time for us to think about who we are, what we want, and move into the new year expectant, drawing to us the laws of attraction that help us co-create our lives. And so that's why we're going through this series. So today, this series, Ask Yourself This today is about what really matters. And as we're asking ourselves real and authentic questions, we talked about before about what are just kind of cannon fodder questions, like how about the boys, or how's the weather, things like that. Those are not authentic questions. But as we ask ourselves real and authentic questions, then we know that we are, because they are relentless. They will not leave you alone. They intrude on your consciousness. They won't leave you alone. I remember listening to and I can't remember who this was. It could have been, who's the Rolling Stones, lead singer of the Rolling Stones? Nick, it could have been him. It was a character like that who also writes music.
Somebody philosophical?
Someone so philosophical. He was highly philosophical and spiritual. He was talking about someone asked him about the creative process and how, music and things come to him. And he was talking, I'm not sure it was him, but it was someone like him who said, it just comes through to me, comes through me. He said, so much so that I'll be driving and songs are just coming. And I have to can you see I'm driving? Okay, I can't. That's how relentless Spirit is. So we're talking today about what really matters, and I'll tell you what really matters. Happiness, meaning, and profound relationship. Those are the things that really matter, and I can tell you why. I know that for sure, but right now we're going to talk about what matters. The two questions we're going to talk about today is what matters to you, and this is about your moral conviction. Who are you from your values-based core perspective? And the second one we want to ask is, who paid the price for you? Who paid the price for me? This is about gratitude, because believe me when I tell you, as you sit there, you are not alone. You did not get where you are alone. Someone paid the price for you to get where you are. So when we ask ourselves, what matters to me? We're talking about things like what does matter to you? Achievement, fulfillment of some sort of meaningful goal, to be significant in some way, to know that our life matters, to make some kind of a difference. I remember the first time, and I've talked about this many times from here, and I will talk about it many, many times again, because I hear this story over and over again as our tribe finds us. As I found the tribe. And I was in San Diego, and I stepped into a CSL, Center for Spiritual Living, which is a Science of Mind church, but again, in New Thought, Unity, it's all New Thought. And I stepped in that church, and I knew I was home. And my vision for myself as a spiritual leader, but even as a person, is to share that information with those who are looking. Not everybody's looking for what we understand, and I get that. It's not for everybody. But I tell you, the thing that I said to the most, and I said it, Jason said it, my God, I wish I had known. I wish I had known. And I want to bring that time down for someone else that they know now. So that's my vision for what I would like to have happen for me in my personal life and for this center. So what matters to you? What makes you happy? Marcus Aurelius said this, very little is needed to make a happy life. It's all within you. It is your way of thinking. Okay? To make yourself happy. What is your vision? A Chinese proverb said, a bird doesn't sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song. Understand? So what is your song? What is it that you want? Lasting happiness is just a byproduct of living with purpose and meaning. Living for something greater than yourself. Now, I was watching a TED Talk. And the talk was about what makes a good life. And the question he asked was this. If you invested in your future right now, in your future self, and who you're going to be, because when we talked about it before, where we are right now is a product of where we've been, right? We're here right now because of all our experiences, our beliefs, all of that brought us to where we are right now. If we want to be someplace different, we change our thinking right now. Everything happens in the present, right? So if you want to affect the future, it's about affecting your present right now. So if you invested in your future right now, where would you put your time and your energy? What would you do? What would you do right now if you knew it was going to affect, if you understood and you kept that in your mind? So there was a recent poll, it was 2016, but that was the recent one that he was talking, this is what he said. So in 2016, there was a millennial study about what's most important in your life. What is your biggest life goal? And the number one goal for 80%, more than 80% of them was to make money. And the number two goal was to be famous. Now, I don't want to knock millennials because really, that is the goal for most young people, yeah? When we start out, that's what we think is important. If we have enough money, it's all going to, and if we're famous and everybody knows us, we're going to be happy. It turns out that that's not true. There's a Harvard study, a longitudinal study, started in 1938. 1938. Some of the gentlemen, it had 734 people in it. Men, by the way. We'll talk about that later. Just saying. But it started, and it broke the 734 up into two groups. Those who were Harvard graduates, and those who were from Boston poor, disadvantaged, poor workers. Okay? And you could not tell from the group whether some of them became drunk, some of them became, just wonderful people. One of them became a president. He did not identify which one that was, but one of them became the president of the United States. So, what he discovered, so what's the thing that the thing revealed once he talked about it? Over 75 years, the study's been going on, and it's still going on, by the way. Some of the men are still around, and they, about 20 years ago, they started inviting the wives to be a part of it. And what did the wives say?
Yes.
Hello, finally. But they finally included the wives in this study. And so it's been a 75-year study. And every 2 years, they go back and ask them questions, do exams, do all kinds of things. And it's still going on. Here's what the study revealed. The warmth of our relationships throughout life has the greatest impact on life satisfaction. Has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with fame, relationships. I remember, and I've told you this, and again, we'll talk about it because I'm just so amazed by it. But my sister's homegoing, is what they call it in the Baptist church, homegoing, her funeral, the memorial, was absolutely amazing. As I know, there were at least 5 different memorials from her work, her church, the students that she did some things with. There was like 4 or 5 different, the actual one that we did for the family. And there were so many memorials, and they wanted the family, obviously, to come. There were so many of them, we couldn't get on with our grieving and missing her, so we just had to say, listen, we can't. We just can't keep attending. It's just too sad for us. And everybody's crying and carrying on. She was so well missed, is my point. She had a huge impact, much more than we knew. And I've told you the story, and I'll tell it again a little bit in a later part of this talk, about what she did with the gentleman that she was working with. He told that story at her memorial. None of us knew that story about the KKK. But I'll tell you that in a little bit. So the question is, what's the most memorable service you've ever attended? I did not happen to know Jean, but I did go to one of her memorials. And I can tell you, by the people who showed up and the number of places that Rebecca had to go to help people say goodbye, tells me that she was a woman of impact. Right? You can tell by that. It tells me that she was a woman of impact. That she was a woman had a life of service. I did hear some of her talks, or tales about her, and the service that she did while she was in the military. So the question obviously becomes, what are people going to say about you at your service? What do you want them to say? That's the question you have to start asking yourself right now. That's how we impact our future. Right now, saying, what do you want people to say about you at your memorial service? So think about it now. And we make personal commitments to live this way. Stephen Covey tells us to live out of your imagination, not out of your experience and history. Because if we do that, if we live out of our history, what does the history tell us? Can't do it. Can't be done. You haven't done it in the past. Why should you be able to do it now? But you have to live out of your imagination, because we know, we talked about this morning in our Eric Butterworth class, Discover the Power Within You. We are children of God. God is within us. We have the power to be creative and to co-create our life anytime we want. We have to just decide. What's that life going to look like? What's that life going to look like? We have 4 gifts. The gift of self-awareness. This discussion about, how do we know we're here? Because we are. It's a ridiculous question, right? How do you know God's here? Because God is. You know it. You feel it. You don't need to get into all of these philosophical questions about it. It is. So we're self-aware. We're God-aware. We have conscience and morality. We know what's right or wrong. We might not always want to do it. We might want to have, God, is that the right answer? Damn it. He did say that. We know. We just want a different answer sometimes. We have independent will, free will. We get to do, what we want. And we have creative imagination. We can co-create. So we have ultimate freedom and the power to choose. That's what we have. Nietzsche told us that when we have a why to live, and all of us have a vision. Believe me when I tell you, we have a gift, we have a vision. We're here for a purpose. Believe it. You have a reason to be here. It's not about taking up space and breathing and worrying. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to live and be great. So when you know what that is, when you have a why, you can bear almost any how to get it done. What happens? You can bear all of that and create a joyous life. So the second thing we want to talk about is that we want to know, it's about gratitude and who paid the price for us. This is about living from love. And we get to choose. I have people talking to me all the time, like, you're just so happy. Like they're disgusted, right? What do you have to be so happy about? Are you kidding me right now? What do I have to be happy about?
You're alive.
Up, boom. Who said, where is she, Gail? You said that. Hello, that's number 1. I think I asked Paul every day, how you doing, Paul? I'm great now that you walked in the door. Whatever. It's you're breathing. Okay? So you get it up, which means what? Because you woke up today, what does it mean? It means this is another day, a new day, an opportunity to say what we want to do with our lives, to walk in that direction. And it doesn't have to be, again, we talked about this morning, it doesn't have to be a huge revelation. We're not waiting for Michael to blow the horn, we're not waiting for the angels to swoop down, and we're not waiting for any of that. Our life gradually dawns on us what we're supposed to be doing. If we're around our tribe, we're trying to live the life we're looking for, it'll just dawn on you. You don't have to worry about it. It will be there. And all of a sudden you look at it, oh, I'm here. I'm already here. How do you know that God is within? It's not we know it. We know it here. The question is, how do you know here? Because when you know here, it's how you live differently, right? It's how you live differently. When you know that you are a child of God, that you are creating your life with God, that you and God are one, then that's reason enough, to be happy. Because whatever's going on in your life, you can just give it over. Sometimes I know where I want to go. Sometimes I have a vision. I'm not always clear how I'm going to get there. I got a thing from Joe. He's like, because I want to do some stuff with marketing. He goes, okay, well, now what we need. You saw that video. He's like, well, and he's correct. From a business perspective, he's absolutely correct. You got to write this statement. You got to, okay. So I quoted this. Okay, so Joe, I know what I want. You can help me write it? Because I don't know how to, I don't need to know. I know that whatever needs to happen, the people, the places, the circumstances are going to be drawn into my life because that's the law of attraction. That's how the law of attraction works. And I'm surrounded by people that are committed, that also have a vision for where this center is going to go. So I know I can call upon you to do things. So I know this. I know what God has given me a vision, and God is not going to give you a vision and then leave you hanging. That doesn't make any sense. If you have a vision, God's going to help you fulfill it. So we're going to live out of love and not lack. We're going to live knowing that there is abundance and prosperity, not scarcity. Look around you. There's nothing but abundance here. So this is about who paid the price for me, not because we're feeling guilty. Oh, my mom and dad, they suffered so much for me. No, it's not about that. It's about gratitude. So, whose shoulders are you standing on? As an individual, I'm standing on someone's shoulders. I wanted to come back and tell you, well, I'll tell you in a second, but I'm living here, the way I live, the way I speak, my education, all of that, is because the decisions my parents made for us, right, as children. I did not know, honestly, people can't believe that when I say that I mean it, but I did not know that there was any such thing as racism. I didn't know. Because my parents moved us out of the South in the 50s, joined the military, and we traveled. So the only thing that was different for me, that delineated people, was stripes, bars, or stars. That's it. Everybody, Chinese, none of that mattered. None of that mattered. That's what they did. My father's father was a farmer. He had a small farm, like 200 acres. It wasn't a big farm. But he farmed, he grew corn, he grew tomatoes, he grew watermelon. His wife, my grandmother, had a whole patch of fruit trees that she grew and they sold and all that. He had pigs and he had cows. And with those things, he sent 3 sons to college. He didn't send the girl, maybe that was back then. But he did send the boys. That's what he did. So they're standing on his shoulders. And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know how he got where he got. But his boys are standing on his shoulders. I'm standing on my parents' shoulders. My sister, I told you the story about her. She was a paralegal is what she was. So she worked for the district attorney of Waco back in the 70s. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but Waco is actually the last place that there was a lynching. Waco, Texas is the last, it's the last place in the U.S., but there is a last place that there was a lynching. It was in Waco, Texas. So she worked for the district attorney, and they had the head of the Ku Klux Klan. Now he has the head wizard, or what do they call it? The wizard, yeah. I think is what they call him. He was in jail there and about to go on trial, and so all of his group, his members, came to break him out. They weren't going to let him go on trial. So they showed up in the parking lot of the district attorney's office. And so rather than, the district attorney didn't want to make a big deal, he didn't want to call the police yet. He wanted to try and go out and talk with him. So he told my sister, I'm going to go out to the parking lot and talk with him. She said, okay. So he's walking out, and he looks behind, and she's walking behind him with a tray of coffee. And he's like, where are you going? She said, I'm going out with you. She said, no, hello, do you know where we're going? She said, do you think I'm going to let you go out there by yourself? We're going. So she walks out, and she's passing out coffee to the Ku Klux Klan in the parking lot. They're looking at her, and she's like, I'm telling you, it's a great story. And so she said, can I get you anything else? Anybody want anything? I mean, it's like she was like a waitress or something, right? It was unbelievable. But they talked with him. He talked them down. And when they finished, she just, hey, well, great to see you. Bye. All this. Now, how was she able to do that? Because she's standing on the shoulders of other people who came before her and said, no, we're not going to have this. This is not allowed. This is not okay to be racist or prejudiced. And there are many, many people now that still say the same thing. Do you understand? So all of us are standing on someone's shoulders. We have a lot of women, the suffragette that came before us and said we have the right to vote. There's all of us in this. There's nobody in this room that isn't standing on somebody's shoulders. I just want you to know that. So we have lots to be grateful for. And to be grateful is to remember why we're here. It's very difficult for me to understand how someone wouldn't vote. A woman, a black person, because we didn't always have it, right? We're standing on the shoulders of other people, and we're saying your sacrifice didn't matter. Even if you can't agree with it, my God, to vote, do something, because you're standing on the shoulders of someone, and we have to remember that. This is what Einstein said. Daily, I remind myself that my inner and outer life is based on the labors of others, living and dead, and that I must exert myself in order to give in the same measure as I have received and am still receiving. Do you understand that? That's what all of us hear. So to be grateful is inspiration, to remember. We have to understand and we have to remember, and we have to decide what matters. Live a life with a vision. But we're going into 2019. We have a bowl burning ceremony on the 31st. We get to let go of what isn't working for us this year, and we get to set our intention for the next year, for the new year. So think about it. Think about who you are, what you want to be, what you want people to say about you, how you've had impact. That's what we do here. That's what this center is going to be doing. We have impact. I get things all the time from people talking about the things we say, and not just me from the pulpit, what you say. When you hold someone in their arms, someone who's crying, someone who you can feel it. You look at them and you know they're hurting. People come here for that. That's what we get to do, because people did it for us. Okay? So what really matters? Happiness. Okay? Happiness, baby. Do your happy dance. That's what matters. Meaning. What is the meaning of your life? Not my life. Your life. And relationships. Relationships matter. So do what you can right now. Take the steps. Decide who you are. Set your intentions for the new year. And create your joyous life.